Victory for voting rights, the Thurston County Board of Supervisors settled a lawsuit with Native American tribes over the county's election map. Under the terms of agreement, Native American voters will now make up the majority of voters in the majority of districts. Joining us live in studio, KTIV's Matt Hoffman has been following the case. Matt, why did things need to change?
Yeah, RJ, it's really simple. It all comes down to population. Native Americans now make up a majority of voters in Thurston County, and so they should have the chance to elect a majority of county supervisors. A federal judge entered a consent decree on January 26th, giving Native American voters a better opportunity to elect candidates of their choice in Thurston County. The decree officially requires the county to use a map it adopted in December. Before the settlement, two tribes argued Native voters could only elect 3 of 7 supervisors. The key reason the map needed to change was because of population. Data shows that Native Americans now make up the majority of the voting population here in Thurston County. And so, if those Native American voters voted in a block, they would be able to elect 5 of the 7 county supervisor seats. None of the current county supervisors were displaced by the new map, meaning they're all still eligible for re-election despite the changes. The new map shrinks District 1 near Pender, narrows District 3 along Highway 77, and makes District 6 near Macy and U.S. Highway 75 larger. Currently, 2 of the 7 supervisors are Native American. The lawsuit was brought by the Omaha and Winnebago tribes and other individuals. In settling the lawsuit, Thurston County did not admit its previous map violated the law. The federal judge signed the decree this January. Under the decree, the judge maintains jurisdiction over the case until at least 2030, when the new census takes place. All right, so let's take a look at those maps. The new map here on the top, the old map here on the bottom. Here are some of the major changes. District 6 is changing. On the old map, a little bit smaller. New map, a little bit larger. District 1, that's over near Pender, far to the southwest. A lot larger in the old district, a lot smaller in the new one. And let's take a look at District 3. It kind of flip-flops. District 3 is here in the central part of the county. Now it's parallel to Highway 77. And District 2, which is up here in the corner, well, it goes a lot further west. It comes all the way over here now, previously stopping here. And actually, Thurston County has sort of a history of these types of voting rights lawsuits. We have more details on that in our web story online, of course, right now, KTIV.com. RJ?